Croeso! It's Thursday, it's really disorientating when we play on Friday, and it's time for Dragonheart. Under the COVID regulations, 6 people can meet in England. The Chester Supporters Association is looking for 2 more people to make up the numbers. Rob is allergic to shellfish. Ryan is allergic to criticism. Dior is allergic to people treading on his face. How is the racecourse pitch like Dior Angus's face? They both took a stud on Saturday. You know, Chris Bush, he trod on Dior Angus. He's previously trodden on John Rooney. And they say that stamp collecting is a harmless hobby. Lots of people are jealous of our perimeter advertising boards. Chester are raising money to buy one. Tranmere are seeking sponsorship to buy one. And Shrewsbury are looking for the wizard who made it happen so they can do it too. Imagine how tiring it must be living in Shropshire, a 24-hour Lord of the Rings theme park. We'll be talking today to Javon Vidal, looking back at the Bromley match and recalling that prolonged missed opportunity that was the 2015-16 season. I'm Mark Griffiths. I'll be joined by Chay Long, and the second series of Mythic Quest will soon be available to stream. It's time for Dragonheart!
The other side, you're listening to the Dragonheart radio.
Yes, welcome to Dragonheart. I'm Mark Griffiths, and I'm joined by Chay Long. Hi, Chay.
Hello, how's it going, Mark?
Yeah, well, not too bad after last Saturday. Pretty good, to be honest. And we're rushing this one out before the Notts County match, of course. So, yeah, at the moment, mood's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy, especially with a 3-0 win against playoff contenders. But even though I watched Bromley, and to be honest, as we said on the preview podcast, last few games, they've looked pretty poor. And I think once we got our first goal, they seemed to implode in some ways, didn't they?
Yeah, they absolutely did. So, imploding. Oh, beautiful segue. We'll also have a look today at that Gary Mills team, 2015-16, that started so well and ended so horribly. And we'll hear from Javan Vidal, who, of course, is a right back who maybe should have been given more opportunities at the club than just the one season anyway. So fasten your seatbelts, chaps. After this, we'll chat about the Bromley game.
I'm Reece Johnson, and you're listening to the Dragonheart radio show.
Right, so Bromley. Well, it started scarily, didn't it, Chay? But it ended perfectly well.
Well, yeah, it was... to be honest with you, Mark, the first 20 minutes I was... Because they look like quite a scary side. They were all massive, weren't they? Really physical side. And I thought they look... physically, they look a lot stronger than what we did. And they had a chance in the first... Was it 5 minutes from a corner? I thought, oh, no, please, this could be a really long day. But it didn't pan out that way, thankfully.
Yeah, it was a great chance to Joe Kizzy, who'd scored the Saturday before and from a corner. And he should have scored then, I thought. I think they may have caught us out a little bit. They sacked their manager, Neil Smith, of course, just 2 days before the game. And they changed their shape from a 4-4-2 to 3 at the back. I don't know if they maybe caught us out a little, but that allowed them to pack the side, like you said, with height. You know, they got Cheek and Duffus up front are big. And the direct team, they had 3 centre-backs. They had Trotter sitting in front of them, who's massive. And they were a real threat from set pieces. And we didn't really get to grips with the way they were playing for the first half hour. But then the first chance we got, we scored, didn't we?
Yeah, and I think that really set them off. I think you could see their heads drop mentally once, they were giving us their all, and they were missing quite clear chances. And then as soon as the ball fell to Dior Angus, he scored an absolute worldie.
Well, Davis was the first one, wasn't he? Or was it Conley Thomas? Hang on.
There was a crowd. Oh, of course it was. Of course it was Jordan Davis, the first goal. I thought it was Dior Angus. The first goal.
As you know, I thought it was
corner.
Kwame Thomas at the time.
Yeah, yeah, we both thought it was Kwame Thomas on commentary. And yeah, exactly. That was really against the run of play. And it was our first corner, wasn't it? And our first real shot on target. It just went in.
Yeah.
And you could see the heads drop a little bit then. And then there you go. I think we took control for most of the game after that.
It's funny, I saw a thread on Red Passion today, and it was saying, like, basically the title was what's causing the improvement. Is it the buzz of the takeover, or is it the buzz of the bonus? And I don't think it's either. I would say that, of course. I think the takeover thing, well, I mean, there's an element of excitement to that. I don't know if it transfers itself onto the pitch or not. I mean, players must be looking over their shoulder and thinking, we could get replaced. Maybe that's a motivator. I think the players would be pretty annoyed if people are suggesting that the bonuses make a difference, because that suggests they weren't trying until they were offered more money. I think it's just a case of things clicking into place. We didn't play three at the back for a good chunk of the season, and slowly things have changed and things are slotted in. And one of them is that we've got a lot of good set-piece deliverers, and we've settled on Young and Record. And Young and Record are absolutely nailing it. And like I said, there's other players who can really take good set plays like Jordan Davis, Elliot Durrell, who are specialists. Yeah. But the truth of the matter is we found something which is continuously making chances from set plays, and that little manoeuvre that we do, which makes a lot of chances and has led to some goals where you have a player running off the keeper towards the near post. Jay Harris usually does that, and he flicks it across the face of goal. And then Jordan Davis at that time, it really works.
Yeah, it does work. I credit to the fact that our whole team is gelling. It's something's really clicked, and we've got a real identity on how we play. I don't think, and as you said, I think the takeover, and I think the bonuses will certainly help and will certainly incentivize some players. You can't deny that. But the fact of the matter is, as well, having a real striking partnership, bringing in Dior Angus has really helped us. Yeah. I think before we were chopping and changing our striking partnership, and nothing was really working. And I think having Tyler French as well, who's come in and bolstered our defence, who can play right wing back and centre back, and brings a lot of energy to our defence and brings a lot of competition in those areas, has helped us. I think it would be unfair to say it was the takeover or the bonuses.
I think as well, you're dead right. I was thinking about this earlier. Keats did very well in those last couple of days of the transfer window, didn't he? Because, well, firstly, as we know, he's the only manager in our league who's restricted by the transfer window. And secondly, the takeover didn't go through till there was a couple of days left, and he had very little time to do anything, which is frustrating because he would have been given a decent budget, wouldn't he? And a whole month to spend if things had happened a bit quicker. But the fact is that those two players he was able to bring in, I think you're right, have lifted the team. They fit into the way we're looking to play, and they've both made a difference. I mean, French, I think, is very solid defensively, and he's good driving forwards if he's playing as a wing back or as the wide centre back sometimes. And then Angus, well, like you say, that second goal killed the game, and it was the first of two fabulous goals.
Oh, 100%. Rewatching, I actually think the first goal was better than the second goal.
Yeah.
On commentary, I thought the second goal was better than the first, but you could either argue for either. And they were two magnificent goals, and he could have got a double hat-trick that day if he didn't miss a few of the sitters. But for me, I think, he's really come in, he's moulded in well, and I think him and Kwame Thomas really complement each other, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's partly as well they've both got the same ideas about movements as strikers. Sometimes it's just that simple, big man flicks it on for the quick man. But the fact is that Thomas is scoring more with Angus in the team as well, because their movements complement each other. Look at the movement for that first goal. It's brilliant. Thomas comes out of that pocket and makes a gap. Angus doesn't make that run straight away. He holds the run and holds because he wants to make the run in when the defence is completely absent at that part of the pitch. And French sees it, plays the ball to perfection, and bang, he's put him in. Oh, you know what? Let's argue about which goal's better.
For me, it's the first goal, because it was like a beautiful lob into the top corner. Wasn't it a half volley?
It bounced to him, didn't it? Yeah.
It was a beautiful ball by Tyler French. Yeah, for me, maybe because I had the better view of it on commentary, but I think the first goal was excellent.
The first one's brains, isn't it? The first one is, I think Andy Morell's commentary in a live stream talked through it extremely well. It's a good striker's instincts, and that excites me. That Angus is that sort of striker, that he sees what ball it is coming in, and he makes a calculation. My best chance here is to let it bounce across me and then help it on, because I know the keeper's going to come out to narrow the angle. So I thought, the technique was excellent. It was the brains. He doesn't have to really whack it. He just needs to be able to help it on beyond the keeper's reach. And then the second one, which is my pick, they're both lovely. I was about to say Sophie's Choice, and I thought, oh God, that's really in bad taste. And I've said it now. But the second one's my favourite because I just love that technique. It's just a volley, and he's nailed it to absolute perfection. A tight angle, in off the post, can't get better than that. I said in the commentary, it brought back memories of Marco van Basten. It's not quite as spectacular as that goal. But, it's a similar position. It's a tight angle. It's a volley. And, sometimes if you go for volleys and you get yourself balanced right, you're still going to be able to, sort of get away with it. Like Rooney's famous overhead kick against Man City. He shins it. He doesn't hit it with his foot. It doesn't touch his foot. But because his technique's all right, his leg's going in a straight line, and it still hits it where it needs to go. Whereas that Angus was banged, laces straight through it, absolute perfect volley, and the ball's coming across him. Fabulous goal.
But both could be in within the next, in the goal of season contender, definitely. And what an excellent game he had. I was really impressed with Dior Angus. He showed everything. That the reasons why we signed him. He was absolutely brilliant. And another player I'd really like to mention is Sean Pearson. I thought he was excellent, wasn't he?
Unbelievable, wasn't he? When he came back, just around Christmas time, he didn't quite look right. He struggled at Stockport, and I was a little worried then, thinking what will he be like when he comes back. I mean, has he ever played better than last Saturday? And let's be honest, this is a bloke who's played well for us a hell of a lot of times.
Yeah.
But my gosh, that warrior spirit, I think, in a way, just he wanted everything, fighting for everything, getting on the end of everything, reading everything. And then actually his use of the ball was good. He was off on the first pass in an attack. He got a few passes of, I don't want to say hospital balls, but they were 60-40, and he was so calm the way he let the ball come to him, let the player come to him, and then just popped it round the side of him. He set up one of the chances when he did that to feed in Luke Young in the second half. But, he was just magnificent. Gives Dean Keats an interesting problem when it comes to picking his stopper on Friday. Pearson himself said, didn't he, in the interview afterwards, he said, I can't see picking me and Fika in the same team. So he acknowledged that's a decision Keats will have to make.
Well, for me, when it comes to that, maybe Friday I'd pick Kelleher for the simple fact that we don't want to rush Pearson into too many games, then get injured again. And for me, they're both at the same quality. It's easy to forget how great Kelleher's been this season after that fantastic Pearson display. He's got a real dilemma on his hands, hasn't he? A real dilemma.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice dilemma, but it's like I say, a genuine issue. I mean, I guess this weekend he might be okay in that it's 2 games in 3 days. Yeah. So he might be okay. If he wants to be a diplomat, he could pick Pearson on Friday and then say, right, okay, you've had 2 games in a week, you need a rest, old fella, and Kelleher plays on Monday. Which would be easier to say to him, I think, than to Kelleher. If he plays him on Friday, Kelleher plays well, and he says, but I'm going to drop you now. Having said that, I don't think Keats is going to be looking at diplomacy. He'll look at results, and he won't be scared to say to someone, I'm dropping you. But that's a tricky one, that.
We're getting results with either player.
Yeah.
So, as a fan, if he picks either, I'm not really going to be crying about it because I think they're both excellent centre halves. and it's fantastic. It's a shame they don't really have the right style to play with each other, because for me, it's either one of them two with Vassell and French either side is our best centre-back trio, in my opinion.
And it's ironic, isn't it, really, that, well, it's ironic, healthy, should I say, perhaps. You look through the squad, there's a few players you're thinking, okay, they'll be left out. I feel really sorry for them. I mean, Carrington's come into centre-back and been outstanding, but he's now out of the team. Horsfield did a good job at centre-back. He's now out of the team. There's a few players that you look at. Durrell has played well the last 3 matches, but he's out of the team. There's a few players you look at and you think, oh, they're unlucky, but then Dibble. Gosh, Dibble.
Yeah. Jarvis.
Jarvis, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then one of the stoppers. It's nice, though, to have more than a bench worth of players that you think maybe should be starting the game.
100%. And I think that's why I'm feeling so positive about this team, is that we've got the real strength and depth that we've built over the summer. And it's really positive. And I think we've got 1 or 2 players who can play a lot of different positions. We've got a few players who can rotate and the team be equally as strong. I'd say the only place we're really lacking is we probably need another striker, and then after that we'd have a really, really strong squad.
Yeah. Well, next season we're going to have a strong choice up front, aren't we? Because we've got Angus, Thomas, Ponticelli. Bickerstaff will come back from tearing up the League of Wales. And you see the news last night? Aguero's on the free transfer. So you've got 5 decent options there, I reckon.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. We'll be winning the FA Cup, like we've been saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And League Cup, and winning the league.
And the last Football Manager comes true.
Yeah, everything's going to be fantastic. Yeah. Another thing I'd like to mention about Pearson is the one thing that Kelleher, I wouldn't say he lacks, but the one thing Pearson's really excels at is his leadership and how he controls the situation with the referees. And we had, let's say, now thinking about it with the referee on last Saturday, I quite like the idea of him trying to keep the game flowing and physical. I don't mind that, but he was just quite inconsistent with his what's the word? With his decisions. Yeah. And I was really impressed how Pearson was approaching him each time, quite diplomatic and calming the players around him. Really impressed with his leadership, and I think that's one thing he really does bring as well as an excellent footballer.
Yeah, it wasn't like him at all. The thing, I when Angus gets trodden on, and be diplomatic here, trodden on, and the referee books him, Angus stays angry. And firstly, I thought, like you say, in terms of leadership and players taking responsibility, you can very clearly hear, both on the live stream and in the ground, Pearson and some of the other players shouting, Dior, to tell him to calm down. Yeah. And then when the referee calls him to him again, I didn't see the ref gesture towards Pearson as captain, but Pearson was right there. You know what I mean? It was management on the pitch, wasn't it? He's going to get up there and just represent Angus, and say, ref, come on. He's been stamped on, he's angry, don't give him another yellow. And again, that's a good too. Sorry. And
that's a good segue to discuss that incident, because we haven't yet. And that was crazy. Looking at the replays, I really still don't know what to make of it. With his track record, because he's done it in the past, it makes me think he's looked down, he's thought, oh, you know what, I'm going to tread on his head. Or is he just being clumsy? I don't know. I wouldn't like to say.
I'm wary. Most people have made their minds up. And I'm wary because I don't like the thought of someone deliberately stamping on someone's face. But, okay, you've seen the video. I managed to dig it out. Yeah. Him and actually ex-Wrexham player John Rooney. That one is awful. I mean, he clearly, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's off the ball. It's a goal kick. And I think Rooney starts it, possibly, although we don't know what's happened beforehand, because he just walks up behind him. It looks like maybe he just put his foot on the back of Bush's heel. But then Bush looks like he might just have a little tread on Rooney's toes, and he throws his hands up to say, I've done nothing, ref. Players never do that unless they've done something. But then afterwards, they challenge to the head to go down, and it's so deliberate. he's not off balance. He doesn't need to step on him, and he digs his studs into Rooney's hip while Rooney's lying on the floor, and then kicks off his sprint off him. Oh, I mean, that's horrible. The Wrexham one on Saturday, well, okay, in a court of law, they'd say that's circumstantial evidence. Just because he did it 2 years ago doesn't mean he did it on Saturday. I don't want him to be deliberate. It doesn't look great. He's not totally in control. I don't think he's not totally balanced. So it could be accidental, but for me, the thing that makes me think it probably is deliberate is his reaction. Because imagine you collide with someone as a footballer. You go down in a tangle, you lose balance, and you accidentally tread on his face. The first thing any footballer does is go, whoa, sorry, mate, you okay? But he didn't. He tried to act like nothing happened. And to me, I'll be honest with you, that makes my mind up. You know, it's like any professionals look after each other. You know, okay, you kick somebody, fair enough, but you don't stamp on someone's face. And if you do, you know, you make it clear it's an accident, to be fair. If it's an accident, you're shocked that you've just done it and you're worried you might have hurt him. But he wasn't doing that at all, was he? No apology. Just try and pretend nothing at all happened and we just had a bit of a tangle.
Well, let's look at it this way. If there was VAR at this level, he would have been off. Simple as that.
I think so.
I
don't know. I don't trust VAR.
Yeah, I don't trust VAR, but there was a West Brom game. I think it was West Brom versus Leicester this season. I forgot who it was. It could have been Pereira for West Brom. And he slightly glanced his studs on the player who was on the floor, and he was straight off. So the way VAR is, he would have been off. And I'm pretty shocked that the linesman didn't spot it either, really. We didn't spot it, but there was a lot going on, wasn't there? And we were at a different angle.
I got sympathy for the officials on this one, I think you're right. The referee made some odd decisions, and they were like conscious decisions. I let the game flow, so that was a foul, but it's not much of a foul. I'll ignore it. I think that's poor officiating. I think that's sort of sneaky stuff. It's very easy to miss. You know, I was looking straight at it at the time, and it looked like they just got tangled up. It's only when you look at the video, you see exactly how they got tangled up. And the very fact that I'm not 100% in my head what happened shows that if it was deliberate, he hit it fairly well. But I don't know. I'm glad we were quick and smart and got Dior off, though, because he could easily got sent off, because I can understand why he's extremely angry.
Yeah, we need... it's such a crying shame, really, because he was on a hat-trick, wasn't he? And I think he might have got it. But you've got to use your head there. And, you know, he was quite fiery. You don't know, he might have looked to maybe gone for a crunching tackle on him or done something maybe reckless. I'm not saying he's that type of character, but he was quite visibly angry, wasn't he, from the push-in and what have you. So I think Keats did the right thing there. Take him off, you know, put Ponticelli on. He's looked great at the moment anyway.
Yeah.
So, right decision by Keats to take him off. And that's not going to stop the fact that he had an awesome game last Saturday, as well as most of the side did.
Yeah, to be fair, that's absolutely right. Here's a thinking point and a question about the Angus stamp. Firstly, if it was a red card, it was also a penalty. So he could have had his hat-trick because it was in the box. And the second one, there was a desire within the club to complain to the FA about what happened after the match. Am I being stupid or not? Right, if he really did that deliberately and he's done it before, then I totally agree that there is a grounds to complain, and him getting punished would feel right. However, am I being too cynical in saying we'll gain nothing from him getting punished, but if he's suspended against, say, Notts County or Stockport County, you know, they could have an easier game against Bromley and gain points that they may not have done. So there's a bit of me thinks, let sleeping dogs lie, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think about it like that. And he wasn't a bad player either, to be fair.
No.
So
I've always quite liked him, but...
Yeah, I don't think he'd be welcome at Wrexham now.
No. He's not getting that big move at the end of his career, is he?
So to sum it up, what are your overall thoughts after this game, especially leading on to such a big game this Friday?
Delighted. I think that the squad's confidence must be terrific. The fact that we score goals is good. You know, the fact that we rather than grinding out 1-0s, we've won 3-0. We've got 2 strikers who are in good scoring form. You look at Angus's stats now, and 4 in 12. That's all right. That if you do that across the whole season, you get, well, I suppose in our truncated season, you get what, 12, 24? No, you got more than that, don't you? 14.
Yeah.
Why can't I divide 42 by 3 anymore? 14. Yeah, 14.
Yeah.
So 14 goals in the season would be nice. Okay, he's not had a full season, but if you're scoring at that rate, you've had a good season. And Thomas is online to do something like that as well. And all of a sudden, the team that can't create looks decent. I should clarify as well that I said about people looking into the club making a complaint. The thing is, there didn't appear to be a process to do that, actually. So we might not be able to raise a complaint because clubs making complaints against opposing players might not be something that you can actually do. If the referee doesn't report it or the media doesn't cause an issue like it would be in the Premier League, it might just be, that's it.
Well, if that decision was at the Premier League or even Championship level, it would be everywhere, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't be able to escape that decision. So some action would have been taken. But because we're in the National League, and let's be fair, how many people were watching that game? 2,000 people on streams? Yeah,
precisely.
It's no comparison to what Liverpool or any other Premier League club's viewing figures, really. So it's going to be forgotten about in a week or two's time, isn't it?
Exactly right. Exactly. Are you happy with it as well? That's a stupid question, but your thoughts on the game yourself?
Over the moon. And the one thing I was more happy about than actually the 3 goals was that we kept a clean sheet against such a free scoring side. They have Cheek, who's the top goal scorer, and we made him look very ordinary on Saturday. Vassell, French, and Pearson, absolutely excellent. And I think, Jamie Record and Reece Johnson weren't quite as, lively as they usually are, but they did a good, solid defensive job.
Yeah.
And excellent. Really happy with the clean sheet, and gives us good momentum going on to a really tough game on Friday.
Absolutely right. Brilliant. Well, the present looks pleasant. Oh man, the rhyming. Such skill. Let's delve back into the past. Let's jump back 6 years, and after this, talk about Barry Mills's first season at Wrexham.
I'm John Ponticelli, and you're listening to the Dragonheart Radio Show.
Oh, Gary Mills. There's an appointment. Let's go back to the summer of 2015 when everything seemed so promising, and the thought of us still being in the National League now was preposterous. We brought in Gary Mills, superstar Steining, as manager. His Gateshead team played such beautiful possession-based football, you wouldn't believe it was possible with National League players, and now we were going to get a taste of it. And, well, we'll talk to Javon Vidal a bit later about that, but Chay, it just all started so well, didn't it? What a lovely team that was.
Oh, yeah, they had some fantastic players, like, Moke, Robbie Evans, I quite liked him. Dom Vose was probably one of those excellent footballers I've seen at the racecourse.
Oh, yeah.
The dribbling, he was brilliant. And I listened to a podcast with Moke on the other day on Rob Ryan Red, and he was saying Dom Vose could have easily been playing in the Championship. He was that good. So. Yeah. Manny Smith as well. We had some fantastic players. So all these ones coming back to me now.
Yeah.
But it's such a shame that come to nothing that season.
I struggle with that season. I struggle with the Gary Mills spell in general. It really confuses me. It felt like the Emperor's new clothes. He turned up and everyone thought, well, if you can get Gateshead to play like that, you must be a tactical genius. And yet by the end, you're thinking, he's a chancer. He's got no plan. He was playing football that looked like he had the most detailed plan and philosophy, and in actual fact, he had none. And the start of the season, all right, we had a really nice-looking side. We lost that first game of the season at Bromley, but then we came back and we won the next 5, and we were purring. It got Vose giving his magic on the left-hand side. York's quick on the right. Gray chipped in with the odd goal up front. Midfield of Moke, Jennings and Robbie Evans, fantastic. Yeah. Blaine Hudson, Manny Smith, Jamal Fifield, take your pick, two of them at the back. Vidal bombing up and down and making those crunching tackles. Newton was solid at left back. Belford wasn't a great keeper, but you had quality in that squad. Real quality. And Adam Smith came off the bench and was doing all right. And then we stopped playing like that.
What happened then? What, in your opinion, went wrong?
Well, I've got an opinion on it, and I could be wrong, but for me, straight after that, so it's 7 games in, we're second in the league. We've only dropped 3 points, and we go to Cheltenham, who eventually get promoted, of course. That's a big, big game. And, right, we lose, but I didn't think it was anything to panic over. We were winning, and when in the second half we were winning, and then we have a shot when we're 1-0 up, which is blocked on the line by a defender with his hand, and it was a game on BT. Comes back to your horror of watching games on television. The replays clearly shows that it was handball. My son actually, I remember him telling me, because I can't remember why I wasn't able to go to the game, but my son did go. And he said that they'd gone to get a burger and they were walking behind the goal when it happened. And it was so blatant. The guy's on the line. He stuck his hand out and blocked it. It was a goal and he saved it. Should have been a penalty and a red card. Wasn't given. They went up the other end, scored quite soon afterwards and then got a winner late on. But we played well. We should have won that match. And then the next Saturday, we went, I think that was an Easter Monday actually, on the not Easter, August bank holiday one.
Yeah.
And the next Saturday, we went to Lincoln, and they were a proper long ball team. They had Matt Reed up front, and they were pounding balls in. And we again scored first. Both those games, James Gray scored in. We lost the lead, about 20 minutes left. Reed equalised. And to be honest, we struggled a bit with their long ball approach. They made more chances. We could have lost that game. But having said that, Lincoln were also a good side that season, and long ball teams, as we saw on Saturday for the spell with Bromley, when they get the game played on their terms, it's hard to counteract. And all right, we rode our luck a little, but we got the draw. It was a good result. But that felt to me like the point where Mills decided, I'm going to change this around now, and we stopped playing such neat football. And I thought it was just a massive overreaction. I didn't think that it merited that. We should have just stuck to it. We were doing well. We were high up the table. Just keep playing like that and we'll be fine. But it felt like that was the point where he panicked and did something which we later found he would do constantly, switch everything around, move everything about.
Do you think that's a sign of a mentally weak manager when things are not always going his way? He feels like he really has to shake things up from top to bottom and change it over rather than sticking with his own identity and his purpose on the way he wants to play originally.
I'm not sure. I think it. No, I don't actually. That makes total sense. But I think in Mills's case, it was that we all mistakenly thought he had an identity, and he didn't.
Right. Okay.
He did what he thought would work, but unlike, say, Guardiola, who would say, right, okay, if my plan didn't work, we need to do my plan better. Instead, Mills wasn't really married to that style of play and said, we'll change it around a bit. And we stopped being quite so possession-based. And frankly, we lost our identity then. We went through a spell of being a bit of a sort of hybrid team. I mean, if I can just go through those results, like I said, after 6 games, we've won 5, lost 1. And then I have those 2 little wobbles. And at that point, we go 11 games of 2 wins as we are transitioning.
Yeah,
to the side that
I
doesn't
remember
move
that
all around anymore. So we weren't. We hadn't given up completely on that style of play, but we certainly weren't as based in on that now. And although we had a little renaissance, we battered Barrow on Barroween, the game when we went in fancy dress, and then the next home game was that famous Gateshead game with Vose's 2 brilliant goals. But
yeah,
quite the same. And isn't it amazing to think that Dom Vos did that, and 10 games later, he plays his last game for Wrexham, and he because Mills didn't want him. I mean, crazy.
What a horrendous decision that is, though, because looking back, he was such a talented player, wasn't he? Technically, really technically gifted player, the way he was, and he could have gone into the 98-point season team, couldn't he? Quite easily. He's an excellent player. That's the real downside of that season, wasn't it?
Don't you think that, like I say about, I really admire Morel, and obviously he was a successful manager for us, but part of it is because when he inherited a good side from Saunders, he had the common sense to not mess around with it. And then Mills did the opposite. If Morel had inherited Vos and he was playing well, even if he thought, maybe he doesn't work hard enough off the ball, he'd have still found a way to use him, because obviously the benefits are fantastic. Whereas Mills got shot, and I just can't get my brain around it. I mean, you talk about luxury players being players who don't deliver. Well, Vos started 31 games for us, 10 goals, 10 assists.
That's very good.
He left in January, and he's in double figures for goals and assists. And he's not even playing up front; he's playing on the wing. That's not bad.
Wow. Do you think if we kept hold of him for the rest of the season, that season could have panned out differently?
Definitely. I think as well, if we'd stuck to our guns and actually played that passing game. I mean, absolutely. I really just couldn't conjure with it. Couldn't get my head around what was going on there at all. We did lose form at the end of Vos' spell with us. We lost, his last ever game for us was a win over Lincoln at home. But the 5 games before that, we lost. So we lost 5 on the trot. By then, we're not moving the ball around all that well. And he's looking for, I'll make changes. Okay, I'll get rid of Vos. That wasn't smart. But then he's not the only example that season of players who didn't make the most of, because his first signing in that summer was Lee Fowler. He made him captain and then didn't pick him. and I can tell you as well, I know in his first spell, because Lee's very honest about things, Lee fell out with people, things didn't work out right. But by all accounts, Lee was the model professional for Wrexham that season, even though he was not getting picked. Wow. Astonishing. You got 2 players of the talent of Vos and Fowler. You get rid of one, Fowler, just to give you the facts, right? He wasn't injured. Right? That's the first thing I've got to emphasise. He was not injured. His first game was our 16th match of the season. At which point, his first start, Mills has suddenly decided we're going to play 3 at the back. So he completely changes the shape of the team. We lose at Dover. He pulls Fowler off after 56 minutes and changes back to 4 at the back. Fowler's not even on the bench for the next game, and we go back to the 4-3-3 and only draw 3 against Guiseley. So the game after that, he goes back to 3 at the back. That's the infamous game where Paul Ian Welsh gets brought on as a substitute in the 44th minute and then taken off in the 68th minute and never plays professional football again. And then we're back to playing 4 at the back then, but 4-2-3-1 rather than 4-3-3. Mad. Just constant chopping and changing. And then he's taking Lee Fowler out on loan, and his second start of the season is our 36th game of the season. When we're playing with a diamond now, because we've changed it completely. There's no attempt to play passing football. And he starts the next 8 games and then is dropped again. There's no plan. There's no idea. By the end of the season, we are playing proper Route 1 football with Mark Beck winning headers and Caden Jackson running onto it. And again, wasted opportunities. Caden Jackson, look where he is now. He's a good football league player. And yet in the January window, Mills didn't want him and sold him to Stockport, and the only reason he didn't go was because ironically the FIFA system was really, really slow, and so because of that the deal hadn't gone through, and by the end of the month we got to a situation where if he signed for Stockport he wouldn't be able to play football till the summer, and so the only reason he came back to Wrexham was because he was going to be ineligible. But absolute lunacy. A player who is now playing at that level until, let's check my facts, the 26th of January, had only started one game in the league.
Wow.
I mean,
So
way to spot talent, Gary.
Here's a question I have for you then. Say if we had, let's say, a more stable manager with that team, because it was a good team on paper, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How we didn't go up that year, really, in the grand scheme of things, or at least really challenge, was a bit of a shock, wasn't it, to everyone? If we had a bit more of a stable manager, let's say, do you think we could have had a better shot of going up?
100%. We finished 8th, as it was, despite the fact that it was all over the shop. And I say we finished 8th, just to emphasise that we could have finished higher. We finished the season horribly. We lost 4 out of the last 5. We won 1 out of the last 6. So, I mean, yeah, we could definitely have done better. I do think, though, Mills had a certain cachet about his name. People saw him as the best National League manager. So I think maybe some players were tempted in because it was Mills and they didn't realise that how things would go. But the other thing is, he brought in loan players and didn't get a lot of use out of them. And I know that he's not alone in that. There was talk, and I don't know that this is true, that a lot of loan players came in with clauses that if they played a certain amount of games, we'd have to make a payment. And so you had players like James Caton and O'Brien, who are very talented young Football League players who look tasty coming off the bench. But both of them only ever came off the bench and then were sent back. And then, of course, you had Kevin Nolan, who looked a very nice midfielder. He played in the beating of, Gateshead, and the beating of Barrow. Played really well. He only started 3 games and we sent him back. And he straight away got promoted with Grimsby and was playing in the Football League.
If they had clauses in their contract of the loan deal that we had to pay money, surely it'd be worth taking that risk or gamble of playing them. And if they were to get us points and then to get us into the playoffs, then it would be worth it in the long run, surely.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm not saying that's necessarily correct. It may not be. What I would say, though, is that I don't think it was the case of Nolan. In Nolan's case, I think Nolan, he just sent him back, even though he was clearly a Football League quality midfielder. Didn't he win some sort of award when they got promoted, Grimsby? I'm sure he won a Player of the Year or something. But I would say that I'm not aware. There's not been talk of other managers having those sort of deals, loan deals where you can only pick so many games without paying extra. A deal where you don't have that clause is not unusual. So why were we doing it? Just like the next season, which I don't want to get on to because that was a disaster. It turned out we had lots of players who were guaranteed a new contract if they hit a certain number of games. So Keats starts not picking certain players because he's then going to be stuck with them for a whole year again. Just, again, peculiar contracts and peculiar ideas, but
Did he have agent mates?
It has been suggested. I'm definitely not saying anything more than that.
No comment.
But it was just a shame, like you say, a missed opportunity. That was a team, the talent in that team, Moke, Vose, Nolan, Manny Smith.
And, with Mills' reputation as well, when we first got him in, I remember the feel-good factor around the club was really high, wasn't it? It was like, we could actually go up this season, but it wasn't to be.
Exactly. I remember reading a blog. There was a really good blog by a Lincoln City fan, and he was previewing the season, and he said the biggest signing anybody has made in the league is Wrexham bringing in Mills. So he's and at the time I thought, 100%. I was so excited at seeing his process at my club, seeing a manager who was coming in and was going to play tiki-taka, because that's what Gateshead were amazing to watch. They're an amazing team to watch. And to get someone coming in and teaching the players that, I just thought, what a fascinating process it's going to be to watch that. And then it turned out he didn't actually have a process.
Sort of maybe got found out at Wrexham, unfortunately.
I think so, yeah. and then compounded that by going to York and getting them relegated the next season. Although it should be said as well, I mean, York, he got them promoted before he went to Gateshead, playing beautiful passing football. One of the best games I've ever seen at the National League was us under morale going to Mills's York, and it was 0-0. But it was the most beautiful game of football. Both sides played brilliant stuff. Neither side could finish. But tactically, it was fascinating the way that changes were being made, and then the other side would counteract it, and you could see what teams were trying to do, and it was beautiful to watch. And I remember afterwards, after I finished commentating, a York fan was lurking in the stand, and he said, I really enjoyed that game because I was sitting in front of you and I was just listening to how much you were enjoying it and talking about all the tactical things that were interesting you in it. And I was like, yeah, it was 0-0, but it was a marvellous game of football, really high quality. So he got York playing like that, but for some reason he came to us. He had the players. He converts Connor Jennings to a midfielder, which was an act of genius. And then
he must have had something about him. So he must have had something about him, but maybe his I don't know, maybe his mentality when his back was against the wall, he panicked. Maybe. It's a shame.
I think it's more. I think he was very sure of himself, actually. I guess the two extremes can lead to the same result, can't they? I may be wrong, I'm no psychologist, I may be wrong, but he was very old school, liked to talk about, playing under Brian Clough and all that sort of thing. And I think there was a sense with him of, I know how to do it, don't question me. So if he decides I'm going to change this, I'll be right. He didn't look at video analysis at all. He had no interest in it. He wasn't interested in looking at how the next team was going to play. And it was a pattern, I think, more in his second season as first of he'd pick a team which then would be caught out by the opponents. And I do think, to be fair to Mills, I think he was good at reading a game and making changes within it. And in the second season, I think we rescued some games because he would look at what was going on and think, right, this isn't working. And he could then alter things within the game effectively. But the fact is, we dropped a lot of points because we were picking a team that was playing right into the opposition's hands as well at first. It was a strange one in so many ways. I'll tell you.
Well, I'm glad we don't have him as a manager now.
I am. Regretfully, he makes me feel that way too.
Yeah.
But shall we hear from one of his star players?
Yeah.
I think we should. Javon Vidal was an excellent right back. As you hear in the interview, injuries didn't help him much. Surprising to think he only made 20 league starts for us. You just wonder whether, if things had gone a bit differently for us, if he could have been that long-awaited player, the replacement for Curtis Obeng, which I think people now feel Reece Hall-Johnson has become. But certainly Vidal was a direct running, positive right back, a positive influence on players as well. And it was a pleasure to catch up with him as well. After this, you'll hear from Javan Vidal.
I'm Elliot Durrell, and you're listening to the Dragonheart Radio Show.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. It was an interesting time when you came to Wrexham, I thought. You got new manager Gary Mills, a few new players coming in, and I think people took to you straight away. I remember a tackle you made in a friendly at Gresford when you sort of, the guy nearly when you hit him, and everyone thought, look at this guy.
First and foremost, thanks for having me. It's obviously a pleasure. When you obviously reached out and contacted me, there was a beaming smile across my face. Obviously, I thoroughly enjoyed my time at Wrexham. I enjoyed the club itself, the people, the fans, everything about the club was great. I still obviously look out for the results and stuff. Obviously, it only lasted a year. I would have preferred longer, but this is football. But yeah, the tackles you're referring to in pre-season were quite tasty. I think in this current climate, I might not get away with them as such. And with it being pre-season, maybe I got away with a few. But I mean, I did win the ball, but it'd be ball and man. So yeah.
Exactly. Their relatives felt some of them. The helmet cycle. And it meant that before the season had even started, you made the club some money because the video we made of putting your tackles in and saying with the Mortal Kombat graphics went viral.
Yeah,
and raised
I did
a
see
fair
that.
amount.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get any. Am I not due any? Is it royalties or something of such or something? I'm only messing.
I'll get Ryan Reynolds to be in touch.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I won't mind a phone call with him, even if it was just for a few seconds, maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
It was. I mean, I was going to say we got off to a good start under Gary Mills. Actually, the first game at Bromley wasn't a good start at all.
No.
Yeah. So, you playing in
No,
midfield in that game, interestingly. But
yeah, I did. Sorry, we're cutting each other. Yeah, basically, I ended as a right back initially. I think we had a few injuries, maybe pre-season, a bit of shuffling. I found myself in the middle of the park. As you know, I was putting in these tackles. I'd like to think I'd done quite well during pre-season. So coming into the start of the season, the first game, I think, again, it was injuries. I think we got a lad on loan from Stoke.
Yeah.
And I was pushed into central and midfield. So yeah, I started there. I don't think I lasted there long. I think I was back at right back the next game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't the best start. I mean, we had a lot of momentum. There was good players. We felt like we had a good group going into that first game. But as you know, in football, the pre-season games mean nothing. It's the league and competitive games that mean something. And we unfortunately didn't get a great result to start with. But I think that was probably the catalyst for our run of form afterwards as well. So yeah,
because we won the next 5. Looked really good. You were flying at right back, not just the defensive side, but you were loving bombing up and down the line as well. Wow, it was all looking great at that point, I thought.
No, I really enjoyed it, especially the start of the season. Like you say, we had some good momentum. We were playing some good football, attractive football and stuff. And I thought, we did quite well. Obviously, we got to Christmas period. Unfortunately, I had a few niggly injuries before that, but I had a hernia operation during that winter period, which was tough for me, obviously mentally and physically. But I just think the team in general struggled from that period, and I don't know if maybe it's down to I put it maybe down to in the National League and non-league, some of the pitches you may find aren't as crisp as they are usually early on in the season, and the attractive football we like to play was obviously a lot more difficult during this period of time. And as you know, during half the season's gone, and a lot more to play for. Teams are down at the bottom as you come into the latter end of the stage of the season. It's a lot more tougher. The games are a lot tougher. People are fighting for every point they can get, really. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we didn't achieve what we probably set out to achieve in the beginning, which was obviously get the club promoted, which is what a lot of people have been trying. I think the club deserve it. It's been a long time. I hope that comes this season. We're in a good position at the minute. You got a great feel-good factor around the club with the new owners and stuff like that. So I'm hoping, I'm praying this is the year for Wrexham anyway to go up.
Let's hope so. I think that your injury was a part of us losing weight as well, to be honest. You had an earlier injury and then quite a lengthy one as well. And, we lost a bit of balance there. I think, Sean Newton was going up and down the other side. We lost that thrust a bit, I think, on the right-hand side. Because you were able to carry the ball forwards and link in with play because you could play in midfield. Yeah. You scored that cracking goal where you hooked the ball over your shoulder. It's one of my favourites. It was a shame that the injury.
Which goal was that? Was that the Halifax one? I mean, I scored quite a few, to be fair. Yeah, the Halifax. I did enjoy that. That's probably one of the best goals of my career, to be honest. I found myself in the box. I don't know how or why I was there. I just ventured forward. I got a good touch out my feet and, made a nice connection. I think I recall one of the players saying, or the goalkeeper saying, who's got him? Who's got him? And then someone said, it's the right back. It's the right back. So, I really enjoyed that moment.
I really enjoyed this, and I was a little frustrated afterwards because I do the commentaries on one side of the ground, and then afterwards I edit the highlights, and the camera's the opposite side from me. And it looked good on the camera, but the camera angle didn't do it justice. From the other side, it was that you could see it was a sensational goal, and the camera angle, I think, because you were right behind, you were in line with the goal in the camera. It didn't do half the justice. I think that's a bit annoying when you pull off something like that, and it doesn't quite look as good as it was.
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the time, obviously it felt good. I felt like I got a good connection, but I think looking back on it, it did look a bit better than how I probably envisaged it when I did do it at the time. So, I mean, I don't know if I got a different copy to you or a different, maybe a different angle or so. Yeah, no, I quite enjoyed it, but yeah.
If only you could have been on the side of the ground I was in watching it, but I guess that would have been quite difficult for you, wouldn't it? You know?
Yeah, I couldn't be in two places at once, unfortunately.
Yeah. It seemed to me, it was strange to me, because the start of the season, like you said, we were playing really nice possession-based football, and that was the reputation Gary Mills had, and why Wrexham brought him in as Gateshead team, really possession-based. It seemed to me, like you said, partly because of the pitches, that we really changed our style of play, and I've got to be honest. There's a bit of me thought if maybe we should just keep persevering. We've got a lovely squad of players. Maybe we should try to just persevere on playing the style that maybe suited us best. You know, I was quite surprised that by the end of the season we like going long onto Mark Beck's head, sort of thing, when we started the season with lots and lots of passing. You know.
No, it was definitely a contrast in styles, but I just think, obviously, obviously that's down to the management, and it comes to a stage where it's about getting results. Now you'll find a lot of teams will do that in that league just to nick results. You know, the games aren't pretty, it's very tough, and you know that kind of possession-based football is a luxury as such. So and obviously the pitches don't help. I mean, at the beginning of the season, the pitches were lovely. You know, we was able to play some crisp possession-based football, and obviously that was coming to fruition. But I think when you do that and you're not getting the results with it, you know, it's quite easy to then, you know, switch to the other style of play to just try and nick some results or get some points and stuff. I just think that coincided with the pitches, you know, not being as great and stuff. And that period of time, you know, it's very rare that you'll go through a season and everything's rosy. You'll always hit a rough patch, and I just think we hit that patch at that wrong time, and you know we didn't ultimately achieve what we wanted to achieve from there.
Like I said, we had some nice players, didn't we? I mean, Dom Vos, for example, blinking. I mean, his ability.
He a wonder goal, didn't he? He wonder goal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wonder goal.
Even got more views than your video, that one, did it?
Oh, did it?
Yeah, he got 500,000, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Oh, he's more than eclipsed mine, and there's no competition. I wonder if he's due his royalties as well as he due some royalties or something. No, that didn't happen. I didn't say that, did I?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But it was a shame as well that we didn't keep him for more than half a season. He got in double figures for goals and assists, and then he's gone. And it was a shame because I mean he was, you know, I think people look at a player like him and think, oh, he's like a luxury player. But he wasn't. He was producing. I mean, clearly the figures.
No, he was delivering. Don was a special player. I remember pre-season, and you can see, you know, when you're training with certain lads, you just know. You can just see that bit of difference. I mean, he was our match winner a lot of games and stuff like that. It was literally get the ball out to Dom, let him do his magic, and you know something will happen. I remember, I think it was one of the training sessions. Now I shouldn't really be saying this because it's probably detrimental to myself. But I remember. I backed myself. I know I'm quick. Do you know what I mean? And I thought I'm quicker than him. Do you know what I mean? If he knocks it past me, you know what I mean? I'll take the ball off him. But you know, he slowed me down. He shifted and he went past me. I thought, no way. I didn't catch him. I thought, what's going on here? But again, it's, you know, he's got great balance, Dom. You know, he's got lovely feet and movement. You know, movement of his body. And you know, as you can see, I mean, he did make a show of me that session. But I've seen a lot of fullbacks having some difficult games against him. But unfortunately for us, we lost him halfway through the season. Obviously, his performance stood out, and you know, the bigger clubs come sniffing. And unfortunately, we couldn't have him. You know, I mean, you know, would it have been different if he'd been there? Of course, it would. He's a top player, and you know, he was a big reason why we're so successful at the start of the season. Anyway, but obviously, you know, we've got a job to do as professionals ourselves, and just to get on with the task in hand. Yeah.
And then also, I'm just thinking, you know, the strength in our defence, the toughness in our defence, as well as yourself. We've got Manny Smith, who sadly has had to retire now, but was a genuine legend of the club.
Yeah, no, he's top drawer, man. He was a pleasure to play with. Obviously, he was on my side quite a lot, so we'd formed quite a good relationship. Like you say, he's a legend of the club. Unfortunately, he's had to retire recently, like myself, but obviously he's probably more down to injury than mine. But yeah, no, Manny was a great player, and it was a pleasure to play with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I suppose another obvious name that comes in my head, we had Connor Jennings in midfield or up front.
Yeah.
Nice, adaptable player, bit of a character. You need those sorts of characters as well, I think, don't you, to really make a team buzz?
No, Connor again, another great player, another pleasure to play with. A real winner. Connor was a real winner. Rightly so, he wore the captain's armband numerous amounts of times. He's the kind of player on the pitch where, if you're having a bit of a rough time or you want to turn to someone and look at someone who leads by example, it's Connor. He never stopped running. He never back out of a 50-50. And, people will see that in the eye, but he did have a lot of quality as well to go with that as well. So, he's obviously playing a lot higher up now anyway. He's been very successful since his time at Wrexham, obviously with Tranmere and stuff like that. So, I think at that time we did have a really good group. And, I was quite surprised we didn't achieve what we set out to achieve. Sometimes it just doesn't go to plan, but I think as a squad and what, the club built and Gary Mills built that season, I thought, we had a great chance of getting up. But like I say, unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're talking about life after football then. What are you up to now?
At the minute, I've just literally, I retired, announced my retirement back end of the year, just passed. Obviously, I've been playing Conference North and stuff. My last club was Kettering. Had a few clubs part-time since I left Wrexham. But obviously, I've been doing some work in construction. I've been doing some studies in sports management and stuff. So I've always wanted to transition into that. So I've recently launched my own sports agency, where obviously I'll be looking after, and managing some players' careers. I just feel that this is what I've wanted to go into for quite a number of years now. Obviously injuries and stuff, and maybe a loss of passion for the game as well. I just felt it was the right time. The seasons have been null and voided, so technically I've not really retired, but I have. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I'm enjoying that at the minute. It's a lot of work, but it's work that I enjoy, and because I've played the game and I've been through it, I feel I'm best placed to help nurture some young lads and help guide people's careers in the right way as well.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear. Well, if you find the next superstar, you know which club to send him to, don't you? We'll look out.
All right, yeah. All right, yeah. If you've got Ryan or Rob's number, then give us a shout. I think I've got Dean Keats's number somewhere. So for sure, if I find someone of ilk or someone that can help the club, then of course they'll be probably one of my first ports of call. Anyway, yeah.
Very good. We'll make sure we'll make up for those royalties with that deal. Okay.
Oh no, it'll be free of charge for Wrexham. They hold a great place in my heart. So as long as the club do well, that's all that matters. There'll be no monetary gains from that situation. Yeah.
Actually, I forgot to say, I was going to say to you earlier as well, that early spell when we were winning, the atmosphere in those home games was really buzzing,
it's something else.
It was great. The support was fantastic.
Something else. Wrexham's a massive club. Obviously, they're in non-league. I've been many non-league clubs. I've not seen clubs like that, to be honest. You'll find a few big clubs will drop out the leagues and stuff. But like you say, the atmosphere, the games, the Chester games. I think there was a Tranmere game at home. These are big attendances in non-league. You'll find that, clubs in the league don't even get these kind of attendances. Obviously, I knew the club was massive before I came. I came from Tamworth at the time. Obviously, they've got, legends, probably a bit before my time, maybe like your Barry Horns, Joey Jones was there, Eddie Nishwick, he was my coach when I was at Man City and stuff like that, Mickey Thomas. I could probably reel off, I probably missed out a lot as well, to be honest, but obviously I knew how big the club was, but I don't think it's until you're actually in it, you're playing for the club, you see the fans and you're involved in it, and you realise how big that club is. And, I just want to see them in the Football League where, they deserve to be. I think they just took and the fans are great. The fans are up there with some of the best fans I've played for. I had, it's probably neck and neck, to be honest. I had a loan spell when I was 19. I went to Aberdeen in Scotland, and they was unbelievable with me. But no, Wrexham are definitely on a par with them as well. So I really, like I say, I really enjoyed my time there. I don't wish anything but success for the club, and I hope it comes, fingers crossed, this season anyway.
Yeah, oh, thanks very much. Well, I agree with you. I hope it comes as well, I can tell you. But, thank you so much for joining me. And again, and also
thank you.
A shame that you weren't able to be with us for more than a year, but in that time,
100%,
your commitment,
Yeah, no. Like I say, it was a pleasure and it's an honour to play for the club. And like I say, I just wish every success for them in the future.
I'm Fiacre Kelleher, and you're listening to Dragonheart Radio Show.
So, Javon Vidal, top bloke, really, really nice fella. And it's a shame. I think maybe next week, Jay, we might look at players that we could have given more time to and who might have contributed more to the club.
Yeah, that'll be a segment to look out for next week. Definitely.
Yeah. Right. Well, the time has come. Let's hope we can perform at Notts County. Big weekend coming up that we'll be dissecting, of course, in next week's Dragonheart. I hope you've enjoyed this early edition. Jay, thank you again so much for joining us.
Yeah, brilliant. I really enjoyed doing this one, Mark, and we've got some huge games coming up now, so let's hope that the positivity keeps going and we keep on with these positive results.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hope we feel this positive next Friday as we are now. Anyway, let's leave that final word of positivity to Mr. Hollywood himself, Jay Harris.
This is Jay Harris, and you're listening to Dragonheart Radio.